What is going on online fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives Make Money Online Training Podcast. This is the #1 show for online fitness coaches who are trying to grow a successful online business. In today's episode, we are talking about hating discipline to become a champion. Hating discipline to become a champion. Now, as you guys are tuning into this podcast, I just want to let you guys know that I'm giving away $1,000 cash in less than a week. We're like less than a week now. It's on March 31st. I'm giving away $1,000 cash. And so if you want to be entered to win $1,000 cash, all you got to do is screenshot any podcast episode, share it to your Instagram stories, tag me at BMarkFit. Let me know that you're tuning in. And I'm giving away $1,000 on March 31st, 2021. Who likes winning money? Yo, you guys want to win some money or what? Let's go. Let's win some money. I like winning money. You like winning money. It's going to be a good time. Okay. So today we're talking about discipline, and I'm gonna do a trigger warning, and I'm gonna let you guys know this podcast is not for you if you're soft as fuck, straight up. So if you are soft, you are not going to like the message of this podcast. If you are easily offended, you are not going to like the message of this podcast. This podcast is for you if you want to be a high performer, period. This podcast episode is for you if you want to be a high performer, period. So if you soft, you are not going to enjoy the message in this podcast. So get out of here. You're going to hate me after this. Because today we're going to talk about discipline. Today we're going to talk about discipline. And I get it, right? Like everybody likes discipline. Everybody wants to talk about discipline. Everybody's on this like rah, like listen to success motivation videos and get hype about discipline over motivation in order to accomplish our goals, right? I think everybody can agree that discipline is one of those like traits and one of those characteristics that everybody wants to have. Like we all seek to be disciplined. We all seek to be disciplined. Motivation is this feeling where we feel like we're taking action, and so we want to, right? So it's like, okay, I feel good, and so I take action. And so motivation is like this internal fire, this internal desire. It seems like it's easy to take action because we're motivated and we're charged and we're excited and we're ready to transform. And so I think motivation is something that a lot of people seek, right? Like that's why we listen to podcasts and success motivation videos and coaches and mentors, because we all want the motivation to work on our goals. And don't get me wrong. I think motivation's super fucking important. But in today's episode, I want to talk about discipline. Today, I want to talk about discipline. Everybody's heard the quote, motivation or discipline over motivation, right? Everybody's heard the quote. We've all watched at least one success motivation video where it's like discipline over motivation. Like you need discipline to accomplish our goals. Today, I want to talk about discipline. And I'm going to talk about discipline, not in the way that you guys are used to and not in the frame that you've heard of before. I want to talk about hating discipline. I want to talk about being so disciplined you fucking hate it. Now, in order to illustrate this point, I want to tell you guys a story about winning my Wbff Pro card. Now, I'm going to go way back to 2014, October 2014, when I was doing fitness competitions. Back in 2014, I was chasing my Wbff Pro card. It was like October 2014 would have been my 4th fitness competition. I had done 3 previously before that, and every show that I had done before that, I hadn't won yet. And so my goal was to win my Wbff Pro card, and I hadn't won my Wbff Pro card yet. And so this would have been my 4th competition that I was like doing my very best to win my pro card, but for some reason, I always ended up falling short. Like my first show, I got 7th. My second show, I ended up getting like 20th, 30th. And then the third show, I got 2nd. And so at this point, I was like, okay, like I need to figure out how to win. I wasn't winning. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. And so I was like, I'm training for WBFF Edmonton. It was October 21st, and I was in peak week, okay? Now, because this was my 4th show and because I wanted to win so fucking bad, I had not missed a single workout. I had not missed a single meal. I had not missed a single rep. And it was October 21st. I had 1 week until my show and I was fucking exhausted. And I remember my coach had me on less than 100 grams of carbs. I was less than 5% body fat. And I was literally completely and 100% exhausted. Every single muscle in my body ached. I had no energy. I was so hungry. Like I remember like, man, like I remember I was so hungry. I would walk by Starbucks and I would look if you're a competitor, you know what I'm talking about here. I would look at the food in the Starbucks when I'd get a coffee, like the little muffins and stuff, and I could taste the muffins by looking at them. Like that's how hungry I was. And I can remember there was one day in particular where I was laying on my couch. It was like 6:30 p.m. at night, okay? I had already done my workout for the day, and I had one cardio session left. And it was the last cardio session that I had before my fitness competition. But I was, and after that, I didn't have to do any more cardio, and I could just like rest and relax until the show. And I remember I was laying on the couch, and I was like physically exhausted, like mentally exhausted. And I was laying on the couch in this peak week, and all I had left was 30 minutes of cardio. That's it. 30 minutes of cardio, and then I was free, and then I didn't have to do any more cardio. I was done. My show was coming up, and that's it. That's all I had to do was 30 minutes of cardio. And I remember I was like laying on that couch, and all I had left was 30 minutes, and I was about to go to bed, and I was in agony. I was literally so exhausted. I was like, man, I'm tired. My mind was going crazy. I need to finish. I'm like, and I was trying to make excuses. I'm like, you're already so lean. I'm like, you don't need to do this last 30 minutes. I was in agony. I was like, man, this won't matter. You're already almost there. You're already below 5% body fat. You're like, you can rest. Like, you don't have to do this last cardio session. You're almost there. Like, you don't need to. You can quit. See, this was my 4th show. Right. And the last show that I entered, I only got 2nd place. And so I wanted to win this show so fucking bad. I was so determined to win. And so I remember I was laying there, and I was tired, and I was exhausted, and I wanted to give up on skipping my cardio. And literally every single bone in my body was telling me to nap. Every single bone in my body was telling me to chill. Every single bone in my body was saying to me that I don't need to do this last cardio session. I'm already fucking good. But there was this like one little voice inside of me that refused to listen. There was this one little voice inside of me that refused to listen. There was a voice inside of me that refused to back down. And I fucking hated it. I hated it. I was so committed to staying on that couch and resting. I was so committed to like relaxing. I was so committed to being in agony and just like letting myself roll into the show. But I refused to give up on that last cardio session. I was like, there was this one little voice inside of me, and this little voice was like, yo, you've come too far to quit now. Like, get your ass outside and go for a fucking run. So I remember I literally, like, I rolled myself into a seating position. I slumped over to my front door. I remember tying my running shoes. I grabbed a jacket from my closet. Like I had my shirt off. I grabbed a jacket from my closet because I didn't want to go to my room to get a sweater. I grabbed a jacket from my closet. I put my jacket on, and I went outside, and I was like, I'm just going to do 10 minutes. So I started jogging, and my mind was just like quit. And I just started jogging. This is the last cardio session before my show. I started jogging. I got 9 minutes in, and I wanted to collapse, but but at that point I was like, yo, shit, like I'm already almost at 10 minutes. So I may as well do 20. And I hated it. Every single part of my body wanted to collapse. I was so depleted. I was so tired. I was so hungry, but I pushed past that 10-minute mark. I got to 19 minutes. And at this point I was like, fuck it. I may as well finish the last 11 minutes. And as I crossed the 25-minute mark, you guys, something that I'll never forget this moment. I had 5 minutes left in my run, and I was coming back to my house, and I started hysterically fucking laughing. I started hysterically laughing because I was in so much pain. I was in so much agony that I started hysterically laughing. And you want to know why I was laughing? Want to know why? Because I fucking knew. I absolutely knew that there was no one, not a single person that I was going to go up against in that show in 4 days. Not a single human entering that show that I was entering was willing to push themselves to the level that I was pushing myself right now in this moment. I knew that there was literally not a single person that was going to step on stage next to me that was going to the level of extreme that I was willing to take myself. I knew that every single bone in my body wanted to quit, and I pushed through. And I know for a fact that there was other competitors that week that got to that point and they quit. And I can remember, like, I finished that run, I got home, and that was it. That was my last run before my show. And I can remember when I drove to Edmonton, because I was in Calgary. I drove to Edmonton. It was like a 3-hour drive. I drove to Edmonton and from Calgary, and my partner at the time, she was talking to me and she's like asking me if I was nervous for the show. And I straight up replied to her. I was like, I'm not nervous because I know I already won the show. I was like, straight up. I was like, I'm not nervous because I know I already won. I knew it. I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no way that somebody else was more prepared for this show than me. There's no way that another human worked harder than I did. There's no way. And so I wasn't nervous at all because I knew that I won the show, and I did. I came home with first place. Now, I want to talk to you guys about discipline for a second, all right? I'm going to talk, and I'm warning you that if you're easily triggered, this is going to offend you. Because I think that discipline is one of those sexy words that a lot of people like to use because everybody wants to develop it. Everybody thinks about discipline and goes like, man, that's a trait that I'd like to have. But straight up, a lot of you don't know what the fuck discipline means. Like, you think it's a sexy word until your life hits the fan. Discipline means, here's what discipline means. Discipline means no matter how you feel, you get the work done. That's discipline. Discipline means doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood has left you. That's discipline. Discipline means come hell or high water, I will get it done. You see, I think that everybody wants to develop discipline, and so they talk about it like it's a fucking walk in the park, and then they practice it like it's easy, but you have no idea what discipline means. Yo, discipline for me, this is what discipline means. Discipline's like when you're depressed and you don't want to get out of bed, but you get your ass up and you put your shoes on and you go to the gym. That's discipline. Discipline is like when every bone in your body is sore and you want to quit because you've been working so hard, and you get your ass up anyways and you get to work. Discipline means you have a death in your family and you still show up and you perform at a high fucking level. I'm going to tell you guys a story. So there's a receiver. He plays for the 49ers. You guys might want to look him up after this. His name is Marquise Goodwin. So Marquise Goodwin, he's a San Francisco 49ers wide receiver. And there's a football game that he was playing against the Giants where he scored a touchdown. He ran 83 yards. He got all the way to the end zone. He took a knee. He looked up to the sky and he started crying. And like all of his team members rushed over to the field and were like celebrating with him. And after the football game, they interviewed him, and it was released that 6 hours before that football game, Marquise Goodwin's unborn son died 6 hours before the game. And so like Marquise Goodwin scored a touchdown in that game that he entered. And 6 hours before that, his unborn son passed away 6 hours before. And that game, he not only played, but he scored a touchdown and they won the game. Yo, that's fucking discipline, man. Because how many people, I'm talking about being a high performer here. I'm talking about being a high performer here, right? How many people would have not gone to that game because it's, because shit happens, because it's hard, because that's an unfortunate situation. But we're talking about being a high performer. If you want to play at a high level, if you want to play at a high fucking level, it's like, it's discipline means no matter how you feel. Discipline means no matter what happens. Discipline means it doesn't matter. Death in the family, depression, anxiety, no matter what, you show up. That's discipline. I remember when I was working, so those of you guys that know my story know that I used to be addicted to drugs. And I remember when I was addicted to drugs, I went to the summer camp in order to recover. And I basically cut myself off from like everything in the outside world. It was like me, the summer camp, no phone, no cell reception. And I was just like in my recovery. And so one of the things that I did to help with my recovery is like committed to going for a run every single day. It was like every single day I went for a run, no matter what. And my goal was to beat my time at my average time per week. So I'd go for a run. There's like a little lake in the summer camp. And every single day after my shift, I would go for a run around the lake. Okay. Now, there was one day that I'll never forget because I never missed a day. I want to be clear about something. I never missed a day. And so there was one day that I'll never forget because I was scheduled to go for my run, But I looked, there was a massive thunderstorm outside. Like I'm talking so big. Like the thunderstorm was so big that there was a summer camp with about 300 people in it, in a main hall, and not a single soul was outside, because it's like as soon as you walked outside, it was like getting like doused with like a bucket full of water. Like it was coming down. It's like thunder, lightning, all of it. And I remember looking outside at that thunderstorm, and I made the commitment every single day, no matter what, I go for a run. And I remember like looking outside, and I was like, I'm fucking doing it. Like I'm going. And it was like, I'm talking torrential downpour, but I did it. And I remember I put my running shoes on and I went for a 30-minute run. And again, I got to about minute 15 and I was fucking laughing, because I knew that I was crazy enough to do this, and that nobody else was crazy enough to do this. And that meant that I was destined to be a high performer. Yo, if you want to be a high performing human, you need to get to a point where you fucking hate being disciplined. Like you need to be so disciplined that you actually hate it. I think that discipline is one of those words that people use when they feel like it, right? Oh, like I'm feeling, it's like you're kind of motivated, kind of disciplined. And so that's when you get up and go to the gym. But being actually disciplined means that like you could be straight up depressed and you still get your shoes on and you go to the gym. Like that's the level of discipline. So many people are disciplined only when it's convenient, so that they can write a fucking post on Instagram about how disciplined they were that one time when they wanted to sleep in and they got up and went to the gym instead. Like, homie, like, let me take a look at your life when no one's watching. Like, in order for me to figure out how disciplined you actually are, like, what do you do when the cameras are off? Right? When nobody's looking at you, when social media isn't on, when you're not writing your Instagram posts, like, what are you doing? Let me take a look at yourself when it's just you versus you. Like, you know what you're doing, right? Like, you can pretend you're fucking disciplined all you want, but like, you're an online fitness coach. Like, are you following your own macros? Are you on your own workout plan? Are you going to the gym consistently like you tell your clients to do? Are you actually perform? I'm talking to the high performers, man. Like, do you want to be a high performer or not? Are you actually performing at the level that you want to, or are you fucking fronting for Instagram? Like, straight up. And if you're a high performer, you should literally hate your discipline. That's how disciplined you are. Guys, Wednesday, I'm going to tell you guys a story about this week. Wednesday, I had, it was like the busiest day I've had in my entire life. And one of the commitments that I made this week was that I was going to show up in full power for every coaching call, which meant that this live stream that I have, the check-ins that I have after this, every single coaching call that I showed up, my goal is to show up in full power. And so on Wednesday, I had 6 back-to-back calls, and each of them were about an hour to an hour and a half long. But I made the commitment to show up every single day in full power to every single call. And on Wednesday, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, because like those of you guys that go live consistently know, like when you go live, it just drains your energy. Like especially if you go live a lot in a day, like it's exhausting. But I'm so fucking disciplined that I showed up to every single coaching call, every single live in full power, just with this much energy for 6 hours straight. And that's what the fuck it takes. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, the weak voice inside of me wanted to cancel and wanted to like be like, man, I overcommitted myself. Maybe I should just take a break. Maybe I should cancel some of these calls so I can show up to some of them in full power. But then there's this little fucking voice inside of me that's like, yo, B Mark, show up. Like you said you were going to show up. You said you were going to do something. And you need to start listening to that voice if you want to be successful. Like, guys, if you want to be a high performer, I'm gonna give you a secret to being a high performer. Ready? You need to tune out your own bullshit. Straight up, tune it out. I want you guys to imagine all of your excuses and reasons for why you're not where you want to be as a frequency that you're tuned into right now. It's like a frequency. Right? It's like a frequency of like, oh, I'm too busy with school right now. I can't work on my business. Or I'm not good at TikTok. That's why I'm not getting on there, because I don't know how to edit videos. Or Clubhouse is a new app for me and I'm so confused and I'm outside of my comfort zone. Or I'm not good on video. That's why I'm not getting on live stream. Or I'm not good at social media. That's why I'm not post. Like, I want you to imagine your bullshit excuses as this frequency that you're tuning into and you're accepting as your reality right now, right? Now, imagine all these excuses as a frequency you're tuned into. Now, understand that the real truth, I want you guys to write this down if you're taking notes. The real truth is always buried beneath the bullshit. The real truth is always buried beneath the bullshit. And the real truth, online fitness coach, you fucking know. You know. Like, we know when we're not performing at the level that we want to. We know. Like, you know if you're not being consistent on social media. You know if you're not being consistent on TikTok. You know if you're not getting on Clubhouse. You know if you're not posting. Online fitness coaches, you know. You also know when you're being lazy with your fitness journey. Like, you know you're fucking sleeping in. You know you're making excuses. And you're just tuned into the bullshit frequency and you're accepting it as your reality. But you need to start listening to that little voice that's inside of you, the truth. That little fucking voice that's inside of you that's like, man, maybe you're sleeping in a little bit too much, Caleb. Right? You need to listen to that fucking voice. And being disciplined means that you should fucking hate listening to that voice, because that voice is just a reminder of the truth. Guys, when I was competing, here's the truth, right? When I was competing for my Wbff fitness competition, I knew that there was only going to be one person who was crowned the champion. One out of all the athletes. And that's why I worked harder than everyone, and I was so disciplined that I literally hated it. And so many people are only disciplined when it feels good. They're only disciplined when they have a little bit of motivation enough to be disciplined. But it's like, real discipline is the next time you wake up and you fucking do not want to get out of bed, you put your shoes on and you fucking get to work. That's discipline. Real discipline is saying, I'm so fucking tired and I don't know if it's going to work and I'm doubting myself and I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to get on live stream, even though I fucking don't want to. That's real discipline. And there's so many people that don't have real discipline. They have fake discipline. They have like Instagram fronting level discipline. Like, if you want to be successful, if you want to be a high performer, then you need to ditch your own bullshit and not let anything get in the way. Like, it does, for me, it's like, guys, if you've been following me for long enough, you already know I go live 5 times a week on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I record 5 podcast episodes a week, and I've done that for a year and 8 or 9 months. And I maybe missed 1 fucking episode in the last year and 9 months. And do you think that I'm a human and that I deal with regular shit of life? Of course. Do you think that I've dealt with some serious, unfortunate bullshit in the last year and 9 months? Of course. Do you think that there was some days that I would have rather offed myself than came on camera and done a live stream for 100 people? Of course. But discipline means I do what the fuck I say I'm going to do, no matter what. Guys, and that's why I work harder than everybody. And I'm so disciplined that I literally hate it sometimes. Because the truth is, here's the truth. And I warn you guys, if you're soft, you're not going to like this episode. The truth is this. You can have all the excuses in the world and they might be right. But in life, there are winners and there are losers. And losers make excuses. And if you want to be and I'm going to define a winner as an online coach. I'm going to define a winner as somebody who builds a fucking business they're proud of. Winners and losers make excuses, and you're not a fucking loser if you're listening to this podcast. And if you want to win, if you want to be a champion of your own life, if you want to build a business that you're proud of, if you want to make more money than you've ever made, if you want to step into higher levels of impact than you've ever had, then you need to develop discipline. If you want people to talk about you, then you need to develop discipline. And discipline doesn't mean when it's convenient. Discipline doesn't mean when it's easy. Discipline doesn't mean when you feel like it. Discipline means even when you fucking hate it. Discipline means even when the mood has left you. Discipline means showing up in full power no matter what. Let's go. Guys, that brings us to the end of the Change Lives, Make Money Online Training Podcast, the #1 show for online fitness coaches who are trying to go a successful online business. If you got value from today's episode, I want you to do something with it. Do something with it. You might be in a hard place right now. Maybe you haven't signed a client in 2 months. Maybe you're out of money. Maybe you're looking at your physique in the mirror and you're like, I fucking don't like that I got myself here. Whatever it is, use today as an opportunity to practice doing something you fucking hate, because it's going to make you a better person. Go to the gym, get your ass on TikTok, get your ass on Clubhouse, do something to make your life better, even if you hate it. That's discipline. And that's what it takes to be successful, because guess what? When we're motivated, it's easy. Like, it's so easy to take action when we feel like it because we're like, yo, I'm on fire. Life's good. Let's go. So if you can condition yourself to take action when you don't feel like it, if you can condition yourself to take action when you hate it, if you can condition yourself to show up no matter what, then you're unstoppable. Do you understand what I'm saying to you right now? Let's go. That's it. That's all. Hope you guys have the best day of your entire life. If you got value from this episode, screenshot, share, tag me in your Instagram story at BMarkFit. I'm giving away $1,000 in 4 days. Peace, love, and protein. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Let's go.